job. Jesus plus nothing equals salvation. It's Jesus. Jesus plus nothing equals salvation. It's Jesus. So the atonement, this idea of covering of sin. So what they would have to do is they would have to present their bull, present their, their ram, their dove, whatever it is they had, right? So before Christ's sacrifice offered atonement or a covering of sin, after Christ's sacrifice, the sin would no longer be covered over. It would be cleansed, literally washed away. Once they killed this animal, they kind of had to do it again because the sins themselves were covered over, not cleansed, not washed. Covered over as opposed to washed. If I'm justified, that's the title of the message today. I'm justified before God. I am made right before the God of the universe. Sanctification is following God. Sanctification is following God. Okay? Now, remember, atonement law, atonement, right? Okay? Covering of sin, Jesus has now died. Do we still got to kill rams and goats and doves and all that? Do Jews still have to do that? You sure? I'm just kidding. You're right. Absolutely. Okay. So they don't have to because that particular law, that portion of the law, has now been changed through Christ. The Jews are called by God to live certain way forever. But the segment of law that justified, right? That made us right before God is now different. So because Jesus is now the perfect sacrifice, there's no more need for the sacrificial system for the atonement of sin. Third word, antinomianism. Grace, good. Law, bad. Believers are justified by Christ's sacrifice, not works. He's saying, guys, I got the gospel from Christ. I took the gospel to God's leadership, and God's leadership said, yeah, I'm on point. The God of the universe has said, you're my person to play this role at this time right now. So how you doing in the context God's called you into? Placed you. He's the God of the universe. He could have placed you anywhere in the world in the history of time, and he has you here now. What was the problem? You interact with God for the first time. He tells himself who he is, and you fall before him and say, this Jesus is amazing. I give my life to him. And now you're learning about his entire story, all of the Hebrew scriptures, all of this history of what God has done and what he's done through this Jewish people, but you're not Jewish. And Peter, this man who walked with him, is right there, and he's telling me that I know who Jesus is. Look at how great this is. And then the other Jewish people show up, and Peter won't even sit down with me now. But Peter was actually holding back the work of God because he was more worried about his reputation. We cannot replace finding God with following God. It doesn't work that way. How's your sanctification process going? You are right before God, but that doesn't give you license to live how you want, when you want, how you want. Understand that his role for you is before you. Take part and play it the way he created you for.